Hello, and thank you for joining us for your weekly plunge into the ice bath of electric car knowledge from the team at electrifying.com. So this week, we'll be mostly discussing the car brand that managed to break the internet last week, despite not actually having any cars to sell. We'll also be answering your car buying questions and dipping into the postbag to find out what you have to say. Welcome to the Kilowatt Half Hour. I'm Nicola.
I'm Vicky.
Hooray! How you
Hooray.
doing, Vic?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm not too shabby. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm fully Red Bull branded today. I don't know if you know this actually, because obviously I work for Electrifying, but I work for Red Bull Racing. I host their podcast, and obviously over the weekend, Max Verstappen won the World Championship. So I've been fully Red Bull branded over the last few days to celebrate. So that's why I've got my hat on. Also, the fact that I've got greasy hair. And shall we discuss that massive lump on your forehead, Vicky?
Go on then. Let's mention it because I can't. All right. So, in contrast to your very glamorous weekend, I was stacking firewood and I think something's bitten me on my forehead. I've had an allergic reaction and I appear to be growing my own horn.
Oh,
And so I'm
you're a
now
unicorn.
officially. I'm a unicorn.
You
Or
are.
alternately, I'm beginning to look a bit like that dude out of the Goonies with the eyes that kind of are slightly, one of the kind of
Sloth.
like. Yeah. That,
Can I just acknowledge, right? I didn't actually notice when we logged in to record this podcast. I didn't notice. It's only because Vicky brought it up and I went, oh yeah, now I can see
no.
it. But I didn't see it beforehand.
But I tried different rooms, I tried different lighting, and I was like, wherever I sit, the shadow that it casts across my head.
Embrace the horn.
Anyway, we're all
Embrace
good.
that
We're all
horn.
good. Electric cars, that's what we're here for, right?
You been busy?
Yeah, stacking firewood and rubbing cream onto my forehead. That's what
Of
I've been up
course.
to. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that's all. It's all good. It's all good. Well, no, I have been busy. I was out on A6 e-tron launch. Can't talk to you about it yet. That's all embargoed.
Oh,
But come
oh.
back. I know that Ginny, bless her, can't be here today. She was out on Ionic 9. We're going to talk about that next
She's
week.
been in LA for the last week with the World Car of the Year awards as well. She's been very
Exactly.
busy.
Very jet-setting, glamorous lady.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where we're at the moment with us. Have you been busy? What have you been up to? Apart from obviously popping champagne and getting up Red Bull branded everywhere.
I literally, as soon as it happened, because the race was like 6 o'clock on Sunday morning, so obviously I was up at 5, which is just a stupid time to have a race. Screw you, Vegas. But yeah, as soon as it happened, I was like, well, now I have to wear my red book. So I'm a sucker for merch. If it's branded and it's free, just give me it, you know? So I've got my whole house is just full of merch. So I've got my hats, I've got my beanie hats, I've got my tops, got my jumpers, all that sort of stuff. So I've been
Nice.
fully kitted out. But yeah, I've recently taken delivery of my new long-termer, which is exciting. So I
Ooh.
was in the Vauxhall Astra Longboy, the
Yeah.
SW, which I had for about a month and a half. That's now gone to Tom Barnard.
Mm.
He's now got that. And I'm now in what I'm calling the Chonky Boy. I'm in a Peugeot E3008. That's what I'm in now.
Oh,
And
well, that sounds very good.
I want to do a little mini rant. Is
Go
that
on
all
then.
right?
Yeah.
It's a lovely car, right? It's a really beautiful looking car. And actually, weirdly, this is the first car that I've had in a while where someone's actually stopped me to ask about the car because it's a really beautiful thing. So a guy stopped me in the car park at Tesco's last week going, what car's that? That looks great, because he wanted to have a look around it. Brilliant. And all the interior lights and everything, the floating screen looks amazing at night. The seats are comfortable. The driving position's lovely. However, last week in the UK was particularly cold. Very, very cold. Now, at 100%, it says on the screen it will do 327 miles. That's what it says the range is. And I was like, okay, it's cold. I can probably expect a little bit less than that, because on average, the average EV loses around 21% of its range when it's particularly cold. And it was like 0 degrees. It was snowing up in
Yeah.
certain parts of the country. And I did a road trip up to Warwick and back again. And I did a road trip up to Milton Keynes to the Red Bull factory and back again. Now, to get to Milton Keynes and back from where I live in Sussex, it's a 182-mile round trip. And it didn't make it.
Oh God, really?
I had to charge. 182 miles, it couldn't do it. Now, bear in mind, okay, a lot of it is motorway, a lot of it's the M25 and the M1. But the Vauxhall Astra on a reasonably chilly day could do it. The Peugeot E308 could do it. Even the BYD Dolphin, when I had that, could do it. But for some reason, as I was driving up to Milton Keynes, I was just watching those numbers drop
Yeah.
so quickly. And I was like, what is going on? And I had to stop and charge. Otherwise, I never would have made it home. And I was genuinely surprised by that, because for a 182-mile round trip, when at a full charge, it can do around 320, that's quite a spectacular loss. I'm sure you'll
Yeah.
agree. And I
Yeah.
know it has been extremely
Mm.
cold, but wow, that was
Yeah.
and that was with, I had everything off. I put on the heated seats and the heated steering. I had to turn the fans off, which then meant I had to keep putting the fans back on again because the whole car's steaming up and all that sort of thing. I wasn't driving particularly fast. I was taking care, and it was a weirdly stressful drive
Yeah.
for something that's not normally a stressful drive,
Oh
which I
God,
found
that's
quite
not great,
interesting.
is it? That's a really, because I mean that's, yeah, that's a big battery in that car, and I
Yeah,
mean, it's an interesting car, the 3008. I think a lot of people will like it just because it looks great, but
yeah.
yeah, that is poor. Stellantis do have a bit of a poor reputation for really optimistic range readouts, and like I've had a couple of Stellantis long termers, both of them. So they kind of start off with a really optimistic range, and then it just sort of, it's fine, fine, fine. It gets to about 50%, and then it just drops really quickly for the latter
Mm,
half of the range readout. So
yeah.
it's a bit frustrating. Yeah, no, that's not ideal, is it? Well, look,
No.
while we're on long termers, I've got a new long termer as well. I have got an MG Cyberster.
Shut your entire
Oh,
face.
I have got
How
an
long have you got
actual
that for?
MG. Well, I've got that for about 2.5 months now.
You
So I'm,
cheeky bitch.
well,
How have you done that?
oh, well, I've got all the contacts. But yeah, no, it's good. It's like a budget Lamborghini, isn't it? Somebody said when I opened the car doors in the, I've had loads of people ask me about it already. I've had it a few weeks. It's a really interesting car. There's a lot to say about it. And obviously there will be like a proper written long-term update on electrifying.com. Anyway, so yeah, so I've got the Cyberster. I'm very intrigued by it. Currently absolutely hating the infotainment layout, all the screens and stuff, really struggling to get to grips with all of that, but it does look absolutely fantastic. So
It
yeah,
does.
I'm quite looking forward to seeing how I get on with it over the longer term, because I do think it might
Oh,
be one of those cars that
man.
sort of reveals its delights
I
over
think
the
I'm
over a
the
bit of
only one
time.
out of the entire electrifying crew that hasn't driven that car yet.
Well, you get an opportunity because I'll bring it up when we're all together in
Yeah.
mid-December. I'll bring it up. You can have a go. Let me know what you
Yes, I
think.
wanna take it for a spin. Yes, please. Yes, please. I wanna see how
Absolutely.
much the doors annoy me.
Yes. Well, yeah. Let me know. We'll
Which
come back to that
version
another time.
which version do you have?
It's the four-wheel drive, yeah. So
Okay.
it's good. It's good. It's a very interesting car. It's a very interesting
Oh,
car. I do like it a lot,
okay.
and I feel very glamorous and yeah, very sexy driving
Yes,
around in
very
it.
sexy,
It's
very
very
sexy
sexy.
Christmas for Vicky,
Sexy Christmas
yes.
MG.
Oh.
Anyway, that's all good, isn't it? So those are both really interesting cars, I think. So we'll find out a bit more about them as we live with it. Anyway,
Yes.
we
So
were going
keep
to
an eye on
talk about,
electrifying.com, by the way, because then you'll see all the written reviews now, long-term
yeah,
reviews that go up. Yes.
absolutely.
Let's discuss the biggest news of the
Mm,
last week.
yes.
Let's discuss Jaguar.
Mm.
Would you like to explain what's happened, Vicky?
Well, Jaguar has sort of launched itself, but not a car. So it's launched its branding and its advert, none of which contains a car.
Yeah.
And it's gone down with some mixed reception, I think it's fair to say. So
Mhm.
I don't know if you've seen it.
Of course I have.
I know that, well, I mean, obviously you have, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think, oh my goodness. I mean, where do you start really? I think what's really shocked me perhaps has been the reception that it's received from inevitably on social media. Like
Yeah.
my social media is this weird little kind of corner of car enthusiast world a lot of the time. Plus a lot of people who are thinking about electric cars and that kind of stuff. But yeah, very kind of automotive focused. And I mean, honestly, I just think people need to take a step back and remember that Jaguar probably aren't really aiming for the kind of dedicated car enthusiasts anymore, and
Yeah.
they're going for a new audience. I don't like the new advert. I think it's incredibly pretentious and it frustrates me. And but I don't, but I actually don't. Okay, this might be an unpopular opinion. I actually don't mind the font. I don't even mind the dreaded capital G. I don't mind it. I think it's all right, and I don't mind the little roundel with the J and the R in it. I think that's reasonably clever.
Mhm.
I don't, and the new leaper. I quite like all of that. The advert I struggle with, but I just not just because I don't really, I feel like it's I think it's deliberately divisive, isn't it? Fine. It's got people talking about the brand, and that might be the more important thing. So,
Yeah, I think well, I mean the film that they loaded on social media. I mean, it was a big sort of branded film. It featured a really diverse cast of models dressed in bold, kind of techno-inspired outfits, showcasing like their brand new modern approach to things. I mean, even Elon Musk put on Twitter saying, sorry, X, saying, "Do you even sell cars?" Ha 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 ha.
mm,
But the thing is, I I'm intrigued by it. And the fact is, whatever they've done, it's got everyone talking. While we're
yeah.
here and when we are discussing it, I do want to say that I think the comments, the homophobic comments that have been on social media is horrendous. And
Mm,
regardless of what you think of that particular brand, I don't think you should bring that side of things into it. And I think it's absolutely disgusting, some of the comments that
mm,
I've seen. Um, and actually, I've seen from where I went to the Attitude Awards with Peugeot, and that was sponsored by Jaguar, that event. So the guy who sort of helps run Jaguar went up and did a speech. And there's been lies spread across social media of him doing the speech at the Attitude Awards to talk about LGBTQ and their support for that community. That was nothing to do with cars, it was to do with that event. But people are sharing that video on social media saying this is them launching their new car. They're not even talking about cars anymore. They're just talking about diversity. So I've had to
mm,
comment on some videos going, please stop sharing misinformation because you're wrong. Everything you're saying is wrong. And what you're doing is you're trying to spread hate. And I don't like that at all.
yeah.
We are all big supporters of the community. And I think Jaguar's rebrand, etc., has basically been designed to get people talking. And that's what they've
Mm,
done. That's what we're all doing. We're talking about it right now on this podcast. They've
yeah.
done exactly what they were meant to do. And they're launching EVs only from now on. And I think where the brand was, they were in a tricky situation. You think of Jag and you think of Jeremy Clarkson saying Jag, don't you? You can't help but think that because you think of the classic
Mm,
Jags. You don't tend to think of modern Jags. How
yeah.
often does someone go and buy a brand new Jag? I don't know
I
anyone
know.
that's bought a brand
But
new one. You buy a used classic.
But this is the problem, right? In that Jaguar has the kind of brand heritage and desirability that most Chinese brands would give all of their design and research budget to get, right?
Yeah,
They would give, I mean, countless millions to have
yeah,
that kind of brand standing that Jaguar has. But the problem is, I think Jaguar probably has existed a bit too long in the past. So it's
yeah.
traded on, oh, the classics and all that. And I get that. They're amazing cars, but I am sick of people on social media in the last week going, "Oh, I can't, the brand that gave us the E-Type, I can't believe the E-Type was decades, nothing to do with what they're doing now. It's a different
Exactly.
world." So, I mean,
Exactly.
by all means, rever the classics. Let's gather around in fields of a Sunday, look at them, admire them, stroke them, admire the fact that they are just stunning cars. I love Jaguars. Modern classic Jags, the F-Type, beautiful car. I really love
Hmm.
it. But people didn't buy enough of them. They certainly didn't buy enough of the XE and the XF. Jag sold, I think, under 65,000 cars in 2023. Do
Mm.
you know how many BYD sold?
Go
Over
on.
3 million. So something has to change, right?
Yeah,
Jaguar, and I mean, Land Rover way outweighs Jaguar in terms of the sales of the brand.
yeah.
Jag has, I think the biggest mistake Jag made was not to capitalize on the I-Pace. They released what I still rate as one of the best electric cars out there.
Mm.
Really brilliant car, drove fantastically. And then they just let it stagnate. They didn't do anything with it. They didn't follow it up with any other models. They didn't capitalize on it, and they've sort of let the brand, like I said, it's just sort of stagnated for years. And I think the good thing about what they're doing now, yes, it's really divisive. Loads of people in my little world of automotive kind of enthusiasts and people who love cars really don't like it. I just think they're probably aiming for a completely different audience, a million miles away from that target audience. And that's exactly what they need to do. They
Yeah,
have to do something drastic.
yeah.
And this is very drastic. And do you know what?
Very.
I wish them well. Sure, I don't like the advert, but I'm probably not the kind of people they're aiming for either. And I am just glad that the brand is doing something really significant, really vocal, really striking, that's got people talking about it, and that I hope will resonate maybe with an audience somewhere far away from my little demographic. that will buy the cars in enough numbers to really kind of support the brand and mean that in 10 or 15 years' time, we can still be grumbling about a stupid advert that they've released that looks like a Christmas perfume advert, right?
It does look like a
So it's
perfume advert. It totally does.
so
Yeah.
it's kind of, I just want the brand to succeed, and it's been sort of languishing for too long. It's such a great brand and it deserves to do well. And I hope that this direction is right for it. And I wish it all the well. And I wish that people, even those who still love the E-Type, oh God, the E-Type, I
And you
just wish
can
that they would
still love
just,
it.
yeah,
Those
just be a
classics
bit
aren't going anywhere.
optimistic. Yeah, be open-minded about it, right? And
Yeah.
just, so yeah, that's my take on it. I just think fair play. It's not for me, but I'm
Yeah.
probably not the person who they're aiming for anyway. So
Exactly that. Exactly. It's
fine.
exactly that. But people don't like change. How
No.
dare you change something that I absolutely love? That's
Mm.
I am offended by this, blah, 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 blah. But the fact is, when was the last time you bought yourself a brand new Jag? That was a very long time ago. And when you're talking about Jags, you're only talking about those classics. And those
Yeah.
classics are going to exist forever. They're not going anywhere. They're just going to still exist as classics. But they need to just rebrand all of their new modern stuff. And the fact that they're going fully electric, I think, is brilliant because we know that they are capable of doing it and what they can make will be very, very good. They're going
Yeah.
more luxurious. And I think what they make will be very interesting to see and to see how the company goes from
Yeah.
there, like in terms of their luxury side of things. I think it'll be really nice.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
but stop ranting. Let them do what they've got to do. Let them cook. Let them
Yeah.
cook. You know, I feel like it's brewing up to something really exciting. But
Mhm.
it's
I
yeah,
agree.
it's quite controversial what
Well,
they've done so far.
so do you know what? I know that our esteemed globe-trotting leader has already seen the new car.
Mm,
She's seen it. So I
yes.
don't know when we can talk about it, but in a while we'll be able to come to that, and we'll see what Jaguar was doing and we'll actually see a car. So I do look forward to that. And I'm
Yeah.
sure that will be as divisive as the branding. I don't know, but I kind of hope so. Do you know what I mean? Because it's also crossed my mind. I was thinking about this. So when Jaguar launched the new XJ, as it was back in like 2011, I think, or something like that, everybody had been going on for ages about how they needed to modernise. And then Ian Callum, as it was back then, showed this lovely, beautiful, sleek, modern Jag, and everyone went, "Oh, I kind of prefer the old ones, actually." And it's just that same. It's like they just can't win. I was like, "Oh my god!"
No.
And similarly, right, BMW. I mean, how many people have been slating BMW's design language with the iX and all this kind of thing? I
Mhm.
quite like the iX, by the way. It's a bit of a kind of guilty pleasure of mine. But
I don't like it.
I do. But they've sold more cars than ever. So who's
Yeah.
right here?
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, and they stuck to their guns with their design language. They're like, well, you don't really matter. We're selling it to a bigger audience, and lo and behold, they've sold it to a bigger audience.
Yeah.
So I think all of these brands are having to really think hard about this stuff at the moment. And I'm not saying that traditional values and brand values don't matter. I think they absolutely do. But I also think that just the sort of the hive mind of people who comment on social media about cars a lot need to just take a breath, calm down, and think about what Jaguar was trying to do here. And I
Yes.
look forward to seeing the car in a few weeks, hopefully. I think so. Yeah,
Yes. Take a breath is
take a
exactly very
breath,
good advice there from Vicky.
calm down,
Take a breath.
take a breath.
Relax. For the love of
Yes,
God, it's not as bad
exactly.
as you think it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, let's keep going because we're going to run out of time here because
Yeah.
we're having a
Okay.
wonderful chat. I did get a message here from Mr. Tom Barnard about Barnard's Bargain.
Oh
So
yes.
he's been looking online. I mean, we all know how wonderful Tom is finding his wonderful car bargains. So the cheapest he has found an ID Buzz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which we all love at Electrifying. He's found a Buzz, which is the Style Pro, the 77 kilowatt hour version, the really nice spec version, for
Yeah.
£413 a month. So that's
That's so
8,000
good,
miles a
isn't
year.
it?
That's 6 months advance payment as
Mm.
well. But 413 quid a month for a Buzz is a
Yeah.
bit bloody good.
That's really good, isn't it? That's a lot of car, I think, for that. Looking at what else you can get for 400 quid a month
Yeah,
on those sort of terms. God, yeah, that's really tempting. That's
yeah.
really, I mean, I'd love a Buzz. I'd absolutely love a Buzz.
So would I. What colour would
But
you have it in?
I really like the yellow and white two-tone.
So
I
do
know
I.
that you have to pay extra and all of that, but it just looks so good. I
Yeah,
love
that's a
it.
hard agree from me. Absolutely agree with you there.
But I know. Oh God. So yeah, I think that's a great deal. I have to say, I really do. I
Yeah, I
really
totally
do.
agree. So there we go. That's Barnard's Bargain. Should we have a little dip in the post bag? What have you
Yeah.
got anything over there, Vicky?
So we've got a lot of comments about the awards. We've got John R. Perrett 7977, he agrees with Tom's comment that high-end Kia deal with issues quickly, as he just received his EV6 facelift and has been looking at comments by current owners on YouTube. But they all seem to have been addressed on the facelifted version. So keep up the great podcast. So he's obviously got an EV6 and has found
Yes.
that sort of that they actually do deal with customers any kind of issues quite quickly. So that's got to be good, hasn't it? I mean, I know they've got the long warranty, but it's nice to know that the actual customer service is pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I always sing the praises of Korean brands. I think they're all bloody marvelous. So yeah, smashing it.
We've also got at Jonky Hertz. He's just leased a Citroen
What a great,
EC4.
what a great
That's Hertz as in Herts, as in I
Oh,
think the
okay.
location rather than in pain. In
I thought that was
Hertfordshire
secret
rather
filth.
than
I'm not gonna
in
lie.
pain. Yeah. Anyway, so he has just leased a Citroen EC4. There's some amazing deals on those at the moment. They're such good value. And he loves it. Regenerative braking, not quite as good as his previous car, which was a Zoe, but it runs smoothly, comfortable, and feels classy. I think the EC4, I love the sort of just cushiness. It's just one of those cars that does the
Oh,
job, the EC4. I do like it.
it's so kind to your
Um,
bum, isn't it? Like
I
you
know.
can be stuck in traffic, you can sit in that car for hours and your bum is still not numb and so
Yes.
comfortable.
Interestingly, we've also had somebody comment. Roger Finch 7651 has been talking about he saw the EV3 at the local launch event and he's seriously tempted for that or a Scenic for the long range and great value. He leased a Tesla MYRWD rear wheel drive instead due to their cracking deals pre-face it. Yeah, so they did have some really good deals on the Tesla.
Yeah.
And he only waited 3 weeks, so that's nice. Which actually ties in really nicely because, Nick, I don't know if you want to have a look at this, but we got a letter from Mike Rofe, and you were talking about this, weren't you? So the EV3 versus the Megane. Do you want to pick that one up?
Ah, yes. Hold up. Let me scroll down and
You
find it
got
because
it.
I know it's somewhere at the bottom here, isn't
Because
it?
that was exactly the same
There we
thing that
go.
he was chatting about, actually.
Yeah, so he sent an email. So he got that sent to our email address, which is
Hmm.
podcast@electrifying.com. So I'm going to read this whole thing because I think it's a really lovely email. It says, right, first of all, I absolutely love the channel. You have such a great blend of insightful comments and fun. Thank you very much. My wife and I currently drive a diesel Megane and have been wanting to switch to electric for a while. We recently went to the Everything Electric show in Farnborough. Oh, I was there to dip our toes in and decided that the time has definitely come. We have narrowed down our shortlist to two vehicles, the Megane E-Tech and the EV3. We're going to be buying new. We've test driven both of them twice, one short suburban drive followed by a longer motorway test. Yeah, come on, you're really testing those cars. Our own thoughts is that they're both great cars, which you're right. We would be very happy to own. However, we are having a lot of trouble choosing and wondered what you thought. So as good though the Megane is, we think the EV3 is actually the better call overall. It's got the longer range, better boot, both in size and configuration. Electric driver seats adjust, and better back seats being some of the main points. God, this is a really long email. The trims we would go through would be the GT Line S in the Kia, mostly because you get the heat pump, etc., or the Techno for the Renault. So there's quite a big difference in the price list. On top of that, Renault have some great deals going, so it looks as though we could get the Megane for as much as 13 grand less than the
Wow.
EV3. And Renault do 0% finance on PCP, whereas Kia's is 3.9%. The other thing in Renault's favour is assuming that it's not gone by the time you read this, or hopefully it's not. There's a car that's actually available in the exact spec that we want at a great price, not at our dealership, but not a million miles away, as opposed to what will probably be a good few weeks lead time for the Kia. So although we really want to go for the Kia in many respects, it's feeling like the Renault is stacking up as the more sensible choice. Do you have any further thoughts? Vicky?
Well done. That was in detail. To be honest, I think you've probably almost answered your own question there because, in short, this is the classic. This is the better car, but it's more expensive and it's going to take ages to arrive.
Yeah.
And this is a good car, but it's cheaper and available. Sort of conundrum.
Mm.
If I were you, if I were in this situation, I would be very tempted to speak to Renault about what deals they could get me if I went for sort of a 24-month contract, go for a shorter contract, see if you can't get a really good value monthly price on that, and then do the Megane for the first 2 years, and then see if you fancy trading up to an EV3 at that point. Because by then,
Ah.
Kia will also have better deals on the EV3. There'll be plenty available. You could even look at nearly new, that kind of thing. So then your options would be a bit wider in that respect. So And I know that Renault have got some fantastic deals on the Megane, and it's a really nice car. I think it
It
drives
is.
really, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
So the range is much better on the EV3. So I would bear that in mind. So it does come down to that, really. It's a lifestyle choice. If you think you can manage with the range on the Megane, fine. I would be tempted to do that. See if you can get a good deal for even if they'll do an 18 months to sort of 24-month contract. They might not do that shorter contract, but see what you can get. Go from there. Otherwise, if you think that the range might be a bit of a deal breaker or it might be a problem, I think you've just got to wait for the EV3 and get a good deal. But yeah, it's you've got the right ideas. You've got it all stacked up there. So it comes down to your lifestyle and what you want to do.
That is solid advice there from wonderful Vicky. Do you know what I really like? The fact that they're really testing those cars out. They've done 2 test drives of each
Yeah.
car, which I think is a really good shout. The fact that they've done the country roads and they've taken it out on motorways as well, just to see how it feels and what it feels like. Obviously, here at Electrifying, we are big fans of both. I mean, the EV3 1 hour car of the year, so we are big fans of that car. But I understand if you want to make the safer, cheaper choice for your first introduction to electric and you don't want to quite wait yet for the car to arrive and you've obviously got a better deal, etc., then you're not going to be missing a trick if you go for the Megane because it's still
Mm.
a really, really lovely car to drive. I know I had one, I think it was last year actually. I had one for about a month or so and I really enjoyed having it. I enjoyed driving it and it drives really nice. The indicator sounds are very, very nice in the Megane as well, by the way. Very nice on the ears. But the boot space and everything is still very decent in that car. So I
Mm.
think either way, you're going to be happy. I feel like, have we really helped with that advice? I don't know. I'm like, pick which one you want.
Maybe whichever one you like. Pick the one you like. The answer to all car conundrums ever. Pick the one you like. Yeah, no, I think fair enough. I think we have. I'm sure we're always very helpful. Surely that's no. I know what you mean. I think so. They're both great cars. So yeah, you're not going to make a bad choice there. Basically,
Zero
um,
percent finance is nice as well,
yeah,
though, isn't it? 0%
I
from
know.
Renault.
Yeah, no, they've got some great finance deals. What else have we got on the? We got another car buying question, didn't we? We
Let's have a
got.
look. Yeah.
Oh yes, so this is about insurance on EVs for a learner. So we have got the Bill Hayward got in touch
Hi,
on
Bill.
our email podcast@electrifying.com, just in case you need to know. So he got in touch and said that his eldest daughter is starting to learn to drive in December this year. So he's going to sell his MG4 and get something at a used EV for them to share. It's all
Mm-hmm.
good. His wife suggested a mini electric, I guess just because she likes it, and why wouldn't you?
It's a beautiful
But
car.
he got a quote, including his daughter, for £10,000 a year. Wow,
Holy
I know.
mother of mothers.
Yes, exactly. So I
Wow.
think that's been shelved. So
Rightly so.
Uh,
Yes.
so he's
Jesus.
asked whether we can suggest some cars available between 10 and 15 grand, used EVs here that might have lower insurance costs. He wants 150 plus miles range, DC rapid charging, and no CHAdeMO. Don't we all? That's what we're all after.
No CHAdeMO. Yeah, no,
No
God, no.
CHAdeMO. So there you go. I think this is a really interesting question because there must be a lot of people out there who are sort of facing this issue now, where they've got
Mm.
learner drivers coming up in EVs and things, and actually, insurance costs on EVs are still a bit more expensive, as I understand it, than comparable petrol cars and
Yeah.
diesel cars, but not by that much. But I think it's sort of amplified with learners, isn't it? So
Yeah.
we did have a look. I think a good shout might be something like a Volkswagen e-up, one of the bigger battery e-ups, or the Seat
Oh, I
Me's,
love the up. Yeah.
because they're really good little cars to drive. They're actually
Hmm.
really, I think they'd be a good learner car because visibility is really good out of them. They're really compact and yet they're
Yeah.
surprisingly spacious inside, really light driver controls. They're just really sweet to drive.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think the safety standards on them aren't as good as some comparable EVs of that era. For instance, the Nissan Leaf, which might also be worth checking out. But I think they're not bad at all even by today's standards, because you've got to bear in mind that Euro NCAP changes its ratings, how it rates its sort of star ratings every few years. So I think that's a good shout. I think that would be my first call, is getting a quote on one of those. They're also really good value. Hyundai Ioniq, Group 16. So the Seat Me and the E-Up, I believe, are about Group 12 to Group 14, something like that.
Yeah.
So they're some of the lowest, cheapest EVs that you can insure.
Yeah.
Um, Hyundai Ioniq, Group 16, apparently. So that's the old Ioniq, by the way, not the 5. I think the 5 would be very expensive, but the
Yeah.
original, I think, isn't it quite, the Wind Blade is what it's known as, isn't it? in
Yeah,
EV
something like
circles.
that. Yeah, but yeah.
That's a cool car. And yeah, Kia Soul, that would be a cool learner's car. Again, good
I like a Kia
visibility,
Soul.
compact. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's quite
So
nice to
I
drive
think,
actually, the Kia Soul. It's a nice decent sized car. The question is,
yeah,
how cool does your daughter want to feel?
I know
Because the Kia
exactly.
Soul looks like a shoe. So
Yeah.
it depends on how cool, like, I wonder if you should have a little look at something. I don't know, maybe a used Fiat 500 or something like that might be
Mm,
a really good shout, or a used ID3. I mean, looking at the used
mm.
ones, you might be better off, because I don't know why that is so expensive. 10
Well,
grand is
I guess it
absolutely
depends on
insane money.
yeah, on which Mini it is, doesn't it? If it's one of the, if it's a sportier one, or I guess insurance is difficult, isn't it? If they just think that people who drive Minis like to drive quickly. I don't know. It's a peculiar one, isn't it? I'm surprised by that too. I
Also,
think that's
yeah, the whole
terrible.
learner driver thing is always a little bit
Um,
more expensive, but that's
yeah.
really expensive.
Oh, here's another idea. What about a Citroen EC4, which we've already mentioned today, and we often come back to? So good
Yes.
used prices, really
Yes.
comfy, really safe,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think the insurance on that should be quite a lot better than on the Mini, I'd have said.
Yeah.
So I don't have the insurance groups for that to hand, but I'm pretty sure it was one of the lower ones. So I think that could be a good call. You could virtually get if you go for a monthly, that you could virtually get a new one as well. So,
Mm.
and you'd be more comparable in terms of interior space with your MG4. So there's that. So yeah, there are some options there, but let us know how you get on, because I think this is a really interesting problem that I suspect a lot of people face actually. So I'd be
Did he give
interested
the
to know how you
reason?
how you get on.
Did he give the reason why he's gonna replace the MG4? My oldest
I
daughter's
assume the
driving the
insurance
MG4.
is too, because MG4s are fairly high insurance, aren't they? Because they're rear
Yeah.
wheel drive and quite powerful and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he didn't actually specify, but I assume that would be the case.
What about
Um,
like a mocha or something small and
yeah,
ruddy, and
yeah,
I
absolutely.
reckon you'd get a good deal on a mocha, and that's actually quite a good first learning to drive car, because it's quite small but it's still higher up. You've got good
Mm,
visibility. I know the boot space is tiny, but you don't need that when you're learning to drive, when it's going to be your first car to learn to drive in.
yeah,
I love that she's learning in an EV, by the way. I think that's marvelous.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's how it
Definitely. You
goes
can.
now.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, isn't it? My daughter's 8, and I do wonder sometimes whether she'll even learn to drive a manual. I wonder about that too. She'll definitely learn to drive in an EV. So
Oh, my
yeah, it's
niece,
interesting,
yeah,
isn't it?
my niece Riley, she's 18 now. She's passed her test, and she did it all in an EV, all
Yeah,
in an
amazing.
EV.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, it's great, isn't it? But
yeah,
yeah, like I said, do drop us a note and let us know how you get on there, because Bill, I would really like to know what happens there, what you go for, and how much it costs. Because
yeah.
yeah, learner drivers, it's a nightmare for insurance. It really is. It's just
10
such a kind of
grand though.
overwhelming. Yeah,
£10,000.
I know. It's
ten
just
thousand
shocking, isn't it?
pounds
It's
to insure
just
a car.
I know. God.
Absolutely not. That's a
Yeah.
hard no from me. No, God, no. That's so much money. That's insane money.
I know. I'd just tell her to get the bus, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll do. 2 quid, isn't it? 2 quid to jump on the bus, that'll do.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. 3 quid
Public
now, I think,
transport for
probably.
you, I'm
Yeah.
afraid. Bill's daughter. Bloody hell. Right. We've gone over half an hour already.
We
Smash
have.
that, mate.
We
Smash that.
have.
Right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. And look, by all means, as always, put any questions, anything you want to know, anything that you think we've missed today in the comment section below, or you can drop us an email, podcast@electrifying.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because it's marvellous. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen in your normal podcast places as well. My dogs are barking, which means I've got another delivery coming.
He's a subscriber.
He is. He is. He's a big fan of
We
Electrifying,
love
is Larry.
Larry. I love the fact
Larry!
that I think he should be a weekly kind of. I think he should be a guest on the podcast every week. Personally, I love the fact that Larry's a sausage dog, but sounds like he's about like kind of a 50-kilo Doberman or something. It's
He's a Doberman on stumps. That's what he is. Oh, God. Right. We will leave you to it. Thank you for joining us. Vicky, go and deal with your unicorn horn.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go and sort that out. Thanks. Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.